Let's talk about seasons today. And you might wonder, like, what the heck has seasons to do with Salesforce? Well, you'll learn all about it in today's Salesforce Unraveled. So, what do I mean by seasons? Well, you might know, and hopefully you do know, is that Salesforce does 3 releases a year. They have sort of a September or winter release. They have towards the early of the year, they do one in February, and then they have their summer release, which comes out in sort of May, June. Now, what are those and what do they do? Well, as you know, Salesforce is very busy and it's always upgrading, changing, adding new stuff to their system. And so they don't do that just ad hoc whenever they want to. They make sure they do it over 3 releases a year. So in those 3 times a year, what you will see is you will find whole new functionality being made available to you. Now, what do you do then when these releases come out? How do you approach this? Well, first of all, there are release notes. And normally around this time, when there are releases available, you'll find a whole range of people diving into release note and saying, okay, what does it mean for each of these solutions, for each of these clouds that you have? What is going to be released? What is coming and how you're going to use it? So always worth looking for release notes. Hot topic. You have the Salesforce official ones, which can be a bit technical. It's always worth looking a bit further, for example, on the admin podcast or some companies who are doing it, to actually give you clarification on the release notes. Now, once you have the release notes and you sort of get an idea what they are, what do you then do? Well, you as a business can decide if you take on any of this or not. So it's not compulsory. And you don't have to restart your org or any of that nonsense that, sometimes you have with like things like Microsoft. It basically means they say, okay, all these changes are available. Your admin developer team go into their setup and say, do I want this? Yes or no? Now, as you know, ideally you do this kind of stuff in the sandbox first. Yeah, because you really want to test, like if something new's come out, what is the impact on my business? What is the impact on my functionality? Does it break anything? Does it make any changes that are irreparable? Things like that. So you decide from the list of things that are made available, do I want this? For those who want it, you test it in your sandbox. You see if it works, see if it is the way you want it to be. And if it is, then you implement them. How do you know on which release you are or if you have implemented anything? Now, you might have seen that when you are in Salesforce and you sort of are on a holding screen, because it takes sometimes a moment for a page to load, you normally see one of the many Salesforce characters there. And they normally have a number with them. And normally they also have sort of a seasonal outfit. So, for example, you might have seen somebody on the wakeboard. So you might have seen somebody on skis, things like that. It's always a weird one. And the number with it. And what it then basically says is for a winter one, you get an obviously winter outfit. And the number then tells you on which release you are. Now, these releases are really important. It is to keep an eye on. It's just making sure that you're actually always using the best and latest functionality that is available within Salesforce. You want to make sure that, if there are changes, how do they impact me? How can I make sure that what I have is the best for my users? So it's really worth every time, so 3 times a year, to look at this and make sure you check them. Now, one of the other things why releases are really important is for those of us who are certified. Because what that means is every release, normally there are going to be a range of questions coming out to test your knowledge. Now, in the olden days, what you had to do is 3 times a year recertify yourself. So you had to do these modules on Trailhead, pass them to make sure you keep your certification. That has now changed to once a year for most certifications, but they are linked to the releases. So every year, to make sure as an admin or developer or any other one you are, so me as a trainer even, I need to check the release schedule and then check which kind of certification I need to do, because different releases give different certification schedules. And basically what that means is I have a module to do. There's a lot of text in there that basically explains to me what is happening, what is coming out. And also there's always one module on there that is the hands-on practice. So basically making sure you can build it. So it's a really good way for us as admin and developers to keep on top of it. The other thing is when there are these releases, there are also always a whole range of new modules and batches coming out. So again, for us as experts who wants to know more about what's coming, getting hands-on experience, these new modules, these new batches are really vital to make sure that we know what's coming and how it will impact a business. It doesn't mean if you don't do it that your system stops working. Yes, in some instances, I think something is coming up in the coming couple of months, which is related to process builder and workflow, where functionality will stop. It's often quite rare for Salesforce to actually stop functionality. They might not support it, but actually completely stopping it is something different. But if you don't choose to pick up any releases, so anything from the current release, it doesn't mean your Salesforce doesn't work anymore. It just means that you miss some of the latest functionality. It is important that you as a business keep an eye on it, but there's always some good stuff out of here, and maybe something that you might not have thought that made a business solution that you have made your life easier. So do make sure, 3 times a year, check the release notes, check what's coming, do your modules, do your testing, really use that sandbox. I can't shout about it often enough. And then make sure you do that and then keep up to date with everything that is happening. I'll try to shout out every year when they're coming out, these releases. Make sure you pay attention to it. So I'll try to drop messages to say, hey, the latest release is coming out, just as a reminder. Maybe I'll start diving into release notes. I'm not sure yet. There's so many good resources out there. I'll probably just instead link to the good resources that are out there. There's a lot of people doing very good work on making release notes, far better than I will ever be able to do. So keep an eye out on those. To make sure, as usual, do your social media stuff, like, reply, comment, subscribe. If you like this comment, of course, leave comments. If there's anything that you want to know, if you're anything curious about, also if there's any future topics that you want me to cover, do drop a message in the comments section. And I'm looking forward to you for the next sessions. Hopefully we won't have a change of season yet. Maybe, who knows? It's getting colder at the moment, so hence I'm wearing hoodies again. And that's the nice thing of Salesforce, is they have a lot of swag, and it means that I have a nice comfy Salesforce hoodie to wear. So do shop in advance, because who knows, maybe next time you might also have one. And with that, I would say enjoy the rest of your day and looking forward to speak to you soon. Bye.